right, good morning, folks. Today is Tuesday, April 12th. Welcome to First Things First, Simply Cyber's daily morning cybersecurity threat briefing. I'm your host, Gerald Auger, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news of the day and providing expert analysis on each of these stories. What it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break into the industry, definitely some value here for everybody. Shout out and thanks to the stream sponsor, Barricade Cyber Solutions, your partner for incident response, ransomware protection, and business recovery. I want to remind you, if you hold professional certifications that require CPEs, each episode of First Things First is worth half a CPE. So 2.5 a week, 10 a month. You'll be able to bang out those annual requirements in no time. It's definitely the easiest and I would argue like the most enjoyable way of getting CPEs. I've done CPEs a million different ways. Nothing's worse than when you're like a month before it's due and you're just grinding out boring webinars. So make sure you capture them here. If you're live, I see you guys queuing up in chat. Absolutely love it. Thanks for being here. You make it the show it is. If you're watching on replay, thanks for catching the stream. Drop a comment. I love seeing that. Obviously, hit the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm push this out to more people so they can find it as well. If you want to jump right to the news because you're watching on replay, when that ticker in the corner gets to 0, we will start the briefing. So just scrub to the right, dive in. But for the next 1 minute and 24 seconds, I'll be welcoming folks into the stream. Thank you, Pierre Brown, Daniel Marquez, Kimberly, and Michelle. Cybersecurity Central representing. Hey, Elroy, good to see you. How's everybody doing today? We did taught this morning information warfare. I actually focused on data brokers and the enrichment and de-identification of data to be used so you can do precision targeting of information, disinformation, misinformation campaigns in the modern society. Very interesting stuff. Hey, Markel. Hey, Ryan. Good to see you. Seba, what's up? Anna Hogan, WGU representing. Hey, Chad Reynolds, Chris Lane. I see you, Nathan Bolin. Found out through CompTIA I have to have a certificate with a completed date. For what? For CPEs? No, I would check the policies on how CPEs are accredited. If you're saying you took a course, yeah, you would need certification for that completion. By the way, the GRC course, that's good for CPEs as well, 7, as it says on the certificate you get when you complete it. But for doing webinars and stuff, there's no certificate of completion. Just make sure you drop a comment in chat in case they audit you. And you can be like, look, right here on replay, this is me commenting that I was here. Now get it up off my back, professional certification organization. You got my annual membership dues. I do the CPEs back up. What's up, Michael and Jenny? All right, guys, we got to 0. We're going to dig in, get right into the top news stories of the day. I say it every day. So for those of you, I'm looking at you, Jess, Ben, Michelle, Ryan. I know you guys, Lupe, you guys hear it all the time. If you want to follow along, go to CISOseries.com. CISOseries.com. David Spark and his gang dropping the heat every single day on this podcast, letting us piggyback on top of it, which is what we do. So if you don't like my style, you don't like Simply Cyber, that's cool. No issues. Just this is a great way to get your knowledge absent of Simply Cyber. So bookmark it. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and let's get into the news.
From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. NSO Group spyware reportedly used against European Commission. According to documents seen by Reuters, as well as sources, at least 5 senior officials of the European Commission were targeted last year by an unknown actor using NSO Group's forced entry spyware. The spyware is believed to have been on phones since at least February 2021, but it's unclear what information was obtained. The Commission became aware of the spyware in November after Apple sent warning messages to iPhone owners that they were targeted by state-sponsored attackers. The European Parliament will launch a committee to investigate spyware in European member states on April 19th.
Yep. So no surprise, right? We've talked about it on the channel before. NSO Group's Pegasus software, just to name one, but there are other ones, It's like 0-click, total mobile device takeover. You got to think, people, this is what happens. Somebody who can buy this software, right? An NSO group is supposed to be doing it for law enforcement only, but let's be honest, right? Like they're selling it to highest bidder. It's like Lord of War type stuff. So some actor gets this piece of software, they drop it on a target, and now they own that target's device. They can eavesdrop and listen in. They can read emails and messages. I don't know if they can send emails and messages as that individual. Let's just say no. Like, let's just say it's vacuuming data up. Not only are you getting the actual data of this European Union official and who they're talking to about policy, agenda, strategic directions, infighting perhaps, but also you are getting a rich data set of that senior European Union official's personal life, who they interact with, where they go, what their families are up to, medical conditions, strife at home, right? Maybe a gambling problem, or maybe they just love gambling. They're good at it, but they love it, right? So all of these things can be used either A, for competitive advantage on, negotiations and policy decisions, or blackmail and extortion. Hey, guess what? I know for a fact that you're doing X, Y, and Z, or, you have this, socially unacceptable issue at home or something like that. We can make it go away, or we will announce it to the world unless you do X, Y, and Z, right? So long story short, obviously it's a massive invasion of privacy, and they're going to look into it because basically it shouldn't happen to anyone. But when you're having this nation state actor on actor situation, it gets the not the price, but like the stakes get quite high very quick. Real quick, I saw Brian mention the John Oliver data brokers last week tonight video. I agree 100%. That's actually what spawned me to give the lecture I gave today to the students, because of that particular video. So if you haven't seen it yet, I would encourage you to check it out. Data brokers, which last week tonight, it published this week.
The malware is coming from inside the phone. Security researchers at Kaspersky discovered a new Android banking Trojan dubbed Fake Calls, which takes over calls to a bank's customer support center and instead directs them to the threat actor. Fake Calls attempts to impersonate a specific banking app, asking on installation for permission to access the contact list, microphone, camera, and call handling. This lets it open its own dialer and send the caller to another number. The malware first appeared late last year and seems to be targeted at users in South Korea. In addition to faking calls, the Trojan essentially operates as a complete spying kit, able to drop incoming calls, copy files, and broadcast audio and video.
Wow.
Open.
Okay. So this is interesting. This is one that is worth sharing. Well, this one would be good for end users. This one's definitely good for awareness. But end users might not be able to wrap their head around this one too easily. So guys, what's going on here is in our world, we tell end users, hey, listen, like if you get a message, a pop-up notification, it could be a smish. Hey, your bank account has fraudulent activity on it. Click here to do something, or call this number, right? You get the virus pop up on your Windows machine. Hey, your machine's infected, call Microsoft, but you're really calling a call center full of threat actors. Okay. We always advise, hey, you know what? If you get that email saying that your Capital One is, got fraudulent activity, or you get that text message that says you have unusual behavior on your home mortgage account or something like that, don't call the number in the email. Go to the back of your credit card. Go to your recent statement that was mailed to you. Go to some out-of-band option and call that number. This malware attacks that particular control, because what's going to happen is you're going to call the number on the back of the credit card, and this thing installed on your phone will drop that call and immediately dial a different phone number. And when they pick up and say, hey, this is Capital One, 1 second while we connect you with an operator, you have every bit of trust that you have in fact contacted Capital One. And whatever they tell you after that, install this, do this, give us that, you will probably do, or your end user will probably do. And why wouldn't they? They believe that they have legitimately connected with the business of choice. So this is innovative, sinister, and quite clever. So be careful with what you're installing, especially on your Android devices. Be cognizant of this. This is a difficult one to educate end users on how to be careful with. I'd have to think about this one, but this one is, whoo, god dang.
SSH gets ready for quantum computing. The eventual advent of practical quantum computing has been worrying the security and cryptography community for a while. That's because the prime factorization at the heart of a lot of cryptographic algorithms becomes simple to solve simultaneously with quantum superposition, where adding to the length of a prime number doesn't materially impact the difficulty. To get ahead of this, OpenSSH 9 implemented a public key encryption system called NTRU Prime by default. This selection was based on NIST's shortlist from the ongoing post-quantum cryptography competition. This is a hybrid between traditional encryption and more quantum-resistant approaches that OpenSSH believes offers at least as good security as the status quo.
Wow. Okay. Whew. Okay, so a couple things here. One, and I feel like I've said this on the channel before, but in the world of cybersecurity or information security, if you're old enough to call it that, there are different domains, right? We see it with Security Plus, we see it with CISP. There's different domains, right? Risk, SecOps. Crypto is one of those domains, and most people are not an expert at all of those domains, but they do have experience in some of them, right? I am one of those individuals that like crypto. It just makes my head hurt. I get it. It's not interesting to me. I don't want to dig into it. So for me, it's like, is it AES? Yes or no? Yes. Let's move forward. Okay. Or is it a acceptable standard? Is it FIPS 120 Tech 2? But in the world of crypto, quantum computing, which is basically going to make the existing encryption standards breakable, quantum computing is right around the corner. So OpenSSH, which is a group that allows you to have secure connections into Linux boxes, is trying to come up with some way to accommodate for not having breakable encryption. Now, two things. One, when quantum computing goes mainstream, I don't know if it's going to break existing encryption right away or if it's going to take a little bit of time. That's one question I have. The second thing I have is, second interesting thing they noted in the story is that there is a NIST government competition, for lack of a better term, going on right now to come up with the post-quantum encryption standard, which I'm really confused how you can do that, because I feel like you would need a quantum computer to generate the quantum key, that would be unbreakable by quantum computing. So I don't understand it, but when AES came out and ultimately became the de facto standard, the government ran a very similar contest, and like all the crypto academics in the world got together and, basically submitted a bunch of different options, and AES ultimately won. I think it's called Raindoll, actually, and we've just renamed it or branded it AES. But anyways, long story short, as a follow-up, I'm really, really happy that Dr. Chase Cunningham, you may have heard his name as Dr. Zero Trust. Like, he and I are actually collaborating a little bit together. He is an expert in a lot of this crypto stuff, and I plan on asking him. I'm talking with him tomorrow, actually, about post-quantum computing, cryptography. So if you're into that crypto space, let me know in chat. I go back and read it, and I can ask him some more specific questions. For me, I'm just personally curious on this. But just know quantum computing is right around the corner, and it's going to disrupt a lot of things that we take for granted.
Atlassian and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad outage. The popular software development collaboration tool Maker first reported it was investigating an outage on April 5th, saying the next day that it unintentionally disabled some sites while running a maintenance script and estimating full restoration within a few days. The company now says that fully restoring services to impacted customers may take up to 2 weeks more. The company reiterated that this was not the result of a cyber attack. Currently, the company estimates its restored functionality to over 35% of the roughly 400 impacted customers with no data loss. While only a small number of Atlassian's over 200,000 customers, this does come as the company stopped selling on-prem licenses in February 2021.
Okay. I'm not going to spend a terrible amount of time on this one. Atlassian is a company that makes, they have a bunch of different products. They are a massive player. They've absorbed and acquired a bunch of businesses. But I think at their root, they have like a ticketing system thing called Jira. And I think it's used for like software development, Scrum, Agile methodologies, those type of things. You can also use it for project management. Long story short, they're a major player. They got a huge footprint. The story here is supply chain and third-party dependence for your business and operations to execute. So if your business is wholly dependent on AWS or wholly dependent on Salesforce, Atlassian, etc., yes, they will contractually obligate you to, hey, we will give you 5 nines of availability. You'll never have to worry about it. Look at us. Look how big and rich we are. Like, there's no way we're going to have downtimes. And then stuff like this happens. And you know what? As a consumer, right? Maybe you're like a $3 million business. Good for you, right? You're doing great work. You're a small, tiny fish in a really large pond for Atlassian. So what are they going to do? Give you a free month of service for your inconvenience? Like, they can promise you the world and they'll try, but crap happens. So from a supply chain and third-party risk management perspective, which I know some people crap on third-party risk, you need to think through business continuity. And seriously, what happens if Atlassian goes down? How do we operate? At least once a year, think through it as an exercise. Spend a few days as an organization thinking about it, because it's easy to say, why would they go down? They're huge. Like, get out of here with your conspiracy theories, you cyber nerd. But guess what? Why don't you bookmark this, put this in a slide deck and be like, really? Because AWS went down in February and Atlassian went down in April. So who's the wingnut, my friend, right? You obviously want to clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit more business polished. But the point is, if your business is not ready for downtime operations, you are literally running at risk. And if it doesn't happen, then you'll never feel the pain of that. But if it does happen and you start losing business revenue and operational value, I guarantee you the business is going to want to do this afterwards. Classic story. We don't have time for that now. First time it really impacts operations, they're going to invest a lot of money and a lot of time into fixing it. And it would have been cheaper and more effective if they had done it before. So, I guess use this as an opportunity to leverage getting some type of disaster recovery scenario simulations or business continuity simulations integrated into your business operations.
And now a word from our sponsor, Code. Last year, Meta asked its oversight board for guidance on handling private residential information. In February, the board recommended Meta tighten policies on sharing private addresses, citing doxing concerns. Based on that recommendation, Meta will remove an exemption that permitted users to share a residential address as long as it was publicly available by the end of 2022. Users can share images of a residential address if it's tied to a news story, but not for the purposes of organizing a protest, unless that person is a high government official. Meta will let users share their own addresses, but others cannot reshare them.
Okay, so this gets into that whole data broker thing that I was talking about earlier. Guys, like, thanks, Meta, for no longer allowing the sharing of publicly available private home addresses. Like, it's just simple to go pull someone's address. Doxing, if you're not familiar with the term, doxing is outing who the person is in real life that's behind the avatar in the online world, right? So like sometimes it's obvious, right? Like, I'm Gerald Auger, all up in your face every morning. Like, I'm putting myself out there, but like, I don't really want my public address and where my kids go to school and all that stuff out there. But doxers will take advantage of this, and some of the more extreme situations we've seen where they'll call in like domestic violence attack or bomb threat, and SWAT teams will come in. People have been murdered accidentally by having their front door kicked in and the SWAT team member eliminating them, even to the point where like it was the wrong address. So pretty nasty stuff. It can get quite serious with this stuff. So good on Meta for not allowing this, but it's like, I find it sad. It's a sad state of affairs that they needed a oversight independent third-party panel to come up with this recommendation and then for it to get implemented. Like, to me, it feels like it's kind of obvious, right? The right thing to do, but who am I? Just somebody.
Senate bill looks to streamline cybersecurity intel sharing. Last week, a bipartisan group of senators introduced the Intragovernmental Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, designed to ensure that actionable cybersecurity information is directly and quickly sent from the Department of Homeland Security to Congress. The bill would require regular intelligence briefing to Congress, as well as a timely update in the case of emergencies. In introducing the bill, senators criticized lengthy delays in congressional staff receiving cybersecurity updates from the executive branch, saying that the U.S.'s adversaries don't distinguish between branches of government.
Okay, so I appreciate this. One quick thing I noticed right here, and I'm not a big political wonk, so maybe this is normal, but the the law that's being presented by the senators to be passed has 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Right now in the United States, there's a lot of like division among the Democrat and the Republican Party. So to see them in a bipartisan bill, again, I don't know if that's normal or not, but this is promising to me that it has support on both sides. And it would allow information sharing internal to the government, right? So it's not private sector. But as maybe we get closer to a federal centralized security operations capability, or at least a threat intelligence sharing capability, this is going to be valuable, right? So if like Department of Agriculture, vegetable laboratory in Tallahassee, Florida is under attack, that intel, that telemetry can get shared in a rapid fashion. So, the Idaho Jet Propulsion Labs or whatever it is are aware, right? So there is value in this. I hope this happens, frankly, because threat intelligence and information sharing needs to move way faster than what it is now, where it's like, a couple days later, some type of digest that a human analyst needs to read, consume, to get more into like indicators of compromise and shared telemetry that's fed into automated and SOAR capabilities.
Elon backtracks on Twitter's board. Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal announced that Elon Musk declined joining the company's board of directors. Agrawal said that as Twitter's biggest shareholder, we will remain open to his input. Musk currently owns 9.2% of Twitter, and being a member of the board would have limited him to holding a 14.9% stake, as well as making him a fiduciary of the company.
Okay, so that's tough to see, huh? So we talked about this on the channel the other day, and someone had mentioned in comment that there is laws around owning more than, I think, 15% or 14.9 and being on the board. So check this out. Here's my thoughts on this. Elon Musk owns a significant piece of Twitter. Elon Musk is a free speech advocate. He's criticized Twitter for quelling free speech and, basically not manipulating, but controlling agenda, controlling themes and stuff like that. So here's my thoughts on this. Elon Musk is so powerful. He doesn't need to be on the board in order to have his thoughts and opinion have board level impact, right? And without the constraint of the percentage owning, he has kind of the idle threat, and he certainly has the capital to buy 51% of Twitter if he wants, right? He's the richest person in the world. It would be nothing for him to buy 51%. So with that capability and idle threat in his back pocket, he gets all the juice of being a board member without having to go to the board meetings, mind you, and still have his thoughts and opinion imprinted on what the direction of Twitter is. So not surprising, bold move. But this is what I think is happening. Who knows? Maybe he just bought it because he thinks it's a great investment. But when you have the most money in the world, I don't know what a great investment means. So, yeah, we'll see.
Autonomous car cruises past police. Back in February, GM's Cruise self-driving unit started offering public taxi rides in San Francisco. A video posted April 2nd showed a San Francisco police officer trying to pull over a driverless Cruise vehicle in the city's Richmond district, only to watch the car temporarily take off. Commenting on the clip, Cruise said that the car yielded to police and moved to the nearest safe location for that traffic stop, adding no citation was issued. Cruise also said, "We work closely with the SFPD on how to interact with our vehicles, including a dedicated phone number for them to call in situations like this. This phone number allows for remote operators to monitor and stop vehicles at law enforcement's request." Cruise also produced a video to teach first responders how to approach its vehicles.
Wow. All right. So this is wild and interesting. So I mean, so many things to ask here, right? Obviously, the cops pulled the car over for a reason. Where, who, like, who's held accountable with this thing, right? And then the fact that it just pulls away from the cop is brilliant. It's like it's the perfect, you know, cherry on top of this story. Now, granted, the thing pulled over right away, but that cop must have been like, not pissed, but like confused and angry that this robot essentially was not obeying law enforcement officers. So this is really, really cool, really, really interesting. And I don't know if there was a passenger in the back seat, but that passenger, what are they thinking? Are they just like, um, can I get out now, please? Even though this is not my destination. So really interesting stuff. There's a lot of non-technical societal things that you need to think through when we're talking about driverless technologies, right? And I'm not just talking about the arbitrary, like driving over a pedestrian or something like that. Well, that is important. That's the one that a lot of people go to. But just all sorts of different things. And this is a perfect one that you may not have thought of, right? Because you're thinking driverless cars, they're always going to follow the law, but sometimes there is reasons to do it. So fun little video and interesting case study on being careful with those type of things. All right, that's a fun story to end the week with. I mean, end the stream with today. We're at 27 minutes right now, so we're doing good on schedule. The dogs didn't bark. I want to remind you guys, I've talked to many of you who are going to be tuning in. If you don't know about this, if you are looking to break into the industry, if you have broken into the industry in the last 12 months, like this talk Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Thursday, it's going to be true stories from real people who have broken in the last 12 months. This isn't my take on being in the industry for 17 years and what I think people should do. This is legit case study of I'm going to try to get up to 30 people's experiences shared with the community. There's going to be massive value add. What did they do that worked? What did they do that did not work and was a waste of their time? Best practices, lessons learned, tips, techniques, whatever. We're going to be bringing them on, and we're going to be rotating, just churning through people, getting their story, dropping them for the next caller. Story, drop them for the next caller. Stacy's going to help me. She's going to be driving quite a bit. I'll be co-hosting and producing, so I'm really, really excited. I hope you all can join us, both to gain value, to hear people's stories, connect with them on a personal level, and if, like I said, if you're looking to break in, to get that best practices so you can do it for yourself. Guys, I've really enjoyed it. This was a fun one. First things first, if you can, share simplycyber.io/FTF. Right here, you can see it on the bottom marker there. Simplycyber.io/FTF with your community, with your audience to share this morning briefing. Ooh, someone just dropped a super chat. Jim Wales. Thanks, Jim Wales. I don't know where it is. I was going to try. Oh, there it is. Look at this, Jim Wales. You're the best, Jim. Thank you so much. Guys, share it with your community. We've been hovering around 70 to 90 people for the last month. And it's great. I love talking to all of you, but I really honestly believe that there's such a large group of people out there. I've seen it with the GRC class. I have 2,500 students now. There's obviously a huge community out there that can benefit from this briefing. If you got value from this briefing, I hope you can, understand what I'm trying to do here and what we're trying to accomplish. So please share it with your community. Let them know. And we'll go from there. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday. It is not a Tuesday, Thursday, right? So it'll be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next First Things First. Y'all be good, and we'll see you out there.